Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to yet another edition of The Inner Voice. You are, of course, tuned to 1422 medium wave. This is the new Pan-Hellenic voice. And I am Dr. Gabrielides, and I'll be with you till 1 o'clock today. Stay tuned, my friends, for what I hope will be a practical and informative program for you that I've entitled Love, Wisdom, and Storms. Okay, my friends, give me a moment to greet my fellow Greek listeners, and I'll be back with you in just a sec. Καλησπέρα σας, φίλες και φίλοι, κυρίες και κύριοι. Είσαστε βεβαίως συντονισμένοι στα 1422 μεσαία κύματα της νέας πανελλήνιας φωνής με την εκπομπή μας Εσωτερική Φωνή. Μαζί σας ο Δόκτωρ Παναγιώτης Γαβριελίδης μέχρι τις 1 η ώρα. Το θέμα μας σήμερα βεβαίως αφορά την ζωή μας, όπως πάντοτε. Μείνετε λοιπόν συντονισμένοι μαζί μας και εύχομαι να αναπαύσουμε λίγο και να χαμογελάσουμε λίγο σήμερα. Alright, my friends. Love, wisdom, and storms. It's our chat for today, for this afternoon. Beautiful day outside. It's appreciably warmer than it has been the last few days, and I for one appreciate that. I am not a winter person. I don't like winter at all. Can't wait for summer. The good and bad news is this. The bad news is that we are only halfway through the winter, but the good news is we're past the equinox. So actually we're a little more than halfway through the winter, which means that every day from now on will be getting longer and the sun will be inching closer to us. Hooray. Come on back, sun. All right, my friends. Storms. You know, the advent of planetary burnout, never mind human burnout, that we're all experiencing as a result of relentless stress or the storms of life. I'm going to use storms as an allegory, natural storms as an allegory for the storms of life. They're leaving many people to wonder about life and its meaning, if any, more than at any other time in history. We're coming across hollow-eyed people. More and more I hear, Dr. G, I don't know what it's about anymore. I work hard, I don't cheat anyone, I provide a good service, and yet I'm still struggling. I hear this from able young men. Why? They say. Why? They ask. What's it all about anyway? Is this life really worth that much agony? And of course, in this crime-ridden corner of the planet we live in, I also hear, Dr. G, my brother was killed, or my son was killed, or I was just hijacked the other day, or I'm a good person. Why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to my family? Trials, the storms of life. What is their meaning for us, if any? More importantly, can any good possibly come from the storms of life? Can any good possibly come? Indeed. So what is a storm? What is a storm, my friends? Let's look at this from a few angles today, and even from the angle of natural disasters, natural storms, to see whether we can learn anything of value. Natural disasters, of course, have occurred for as long as mankind has been here, and womankind, to be politically correct. There are too numerous. They are too numerous to list, from the great flood of the Bible to the volcanic eruption of the Roman city of Pompeii that buried thousands of people alive in molten lava, Plato, of course, and many other writers wrote of the entire continent of Atlantis that suddenly sank into the Atlantic Ocean. Storms can be viewed simply as physical disasters. However, there is much more to learn and appreciate from them if we will open our hearts and minds and go beyond the news version of the event. In this program, I will use the word storm to refer to many types of unsettling physical or emotional events that occur in everyone's lives. I was just this morning reading again one of my favorite authors, Dr. David R. Hawkins, in his groundbreaking book, powerful book, entitled Power versus Force, the study of kinesiology and how that has affected all of our lives and continues to. And basically, he used kinesiology to study and learn from that study consciousness. He studied consciousness for more than 3 decades now, and amazing book. I'm reading it for about the 18th time now, the book, and every time I learn something new. An incredible book, an incredible man, Dr. David Hawkins, and he brings out so vividly in the book the suffering of mankind, of humankind, the suffering, the incredible suffering that most of the population is in, how that 85+% of the population is living in poverty, in illiteracy, in lack of awareness of what's going on, no hope. And it's only really the 15% of the rest of the planet that sort of lives in the Western world and has a modicum of safety, a modicum of abundance. And of course, even in that 15% of the Western world, international polls show again and again that there is great unhappiness, and that very, 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 very few people are truly happy. Very few. Which is amazing. In a world that is abundant, in a world where the United States alone throws away enough food every day to feed the whole world 6 times over, where any land the size of Texas, any piece of land the size of Texas can feed and clothe and shelter the world in such an abundant planet. Isn't it amazing that there is so much misery, that 80+% of the planet still live below the poverty line and don't really know where their next plate of food, where their next meal is going to come from, never mind be happy. So yeah, we are in the grip of a planetary burnout, that is for sure. And that's such a shame, because it need not be. It should be anything but that. But we are in it. So let's consider first the physical effects of storms as we navigate our way through the program this afternoon. Storms, of course, may take away homes, possessions, even loved ones, even our own bodies as well. Storms may lead to physically moving to a new location, a new home, a new job, new relationships. They are, when severe enough, physical turning points that are very definite endings and new beginnings for possibly millions of people at a time. Now this has a kind of wonderful effect on the planet, as so many people are stuck in their comfortable but often dysfunctional jobs, homes, business ventures, relationships, and so forth. So it's important to realize that physical disruption, although not welcome and very dangerous, can be beneficial. Storms can literally wash away an old way of thinking, an old way of living and doing things. They can bring us to a new level of physical existence, even if that new level seems less comfortable and familiar. And ooh, how we hate that. How we hate new and unfamiliar and uncomfortable settings. We like to be in our comfort zones, even if that means we get beaten up twice a day. It's like this guy, an extreme analogy, where every 10 minutes for the last 3 years, another guy comes along with a big wooden mallet and thumps him on the toe every 15 minutes for no reason. It's a hypothetical situation to show you how we get used to anything. And so when the guy with the mallet is late a minute or two, the other poor sucker is sitting there wondering, well, he's late, where is he? You know, you get into such a rut. You even get used to a beating, a daily beating. Rather than venture into something new, into out of your comfort zone, people will do anything to avoid the new, the unfamiliar. So storms force us to explore new possibilities in every area of our lives. The true stories, of course, of people who have been buffeted by storms and risen above them to create a new and wonderful life for themselves and for others are legion, way too numerous to elucidate on. We can recount such true stories endlessly, from the black American who rose from 20 years in solitary confinement for killing someone on the outside and on the inside of prison. He killed the prison guard, this particular individual I have in mind, and he went on to become a famous and accomplished Broadway star. Right? Or what about the homeless hobo who went on to become a wealthy and successful businessman, providing jobs for hundreds? Thousands of stories like that of what the storms of life can do for us. So, moving on then, what next I'd like to ask are the psychological effects of storms. Storms are often hard on people psychologically, understandably. They represent revolution, you see, rather than evolution. Revolution rather than evolution. They represent new paradigms and perhaps a whole new world, an unfamiliar new world. Everyone wishes to believe that life is stable, predictable, and will go on forever. You see, we fool ourselves with that delusion. And what a delusion it is, my friends. Storms of life force us to see that life is not predictable after all, and it can all be swept away, even our physical lives, in a day or less, in a moment. This is a supreme challenge psychologically to all of us, because stability and security are the prime concerns of most human beings, and of course understandably so. Who wants to go through a storm? Who wants children to go through a storm? Wants loved ones? No one. Even the body physically thrives on steadiness, as in the sameness of the body temperature, blood pressure, and many other parameters, the homeostasis of the body. We've got to have it. Otherwise, we very quickly, just like a hurricane can wipe out a home, when we disturb the body temperature, the blood pressure, the pH balance of the body, very quickly you can find yourself in a health hurricane. Make no mistake, as tough as we are, we're also just as much fragile. Amazing, the human body. Very tough, but very fragile, paradoxically. Storms jog us from everyday preoccupations with mostly mundane pursuits and force us to refocus and look at life differently. It may be at the emergency survival level, but no matter. This shift in perception is wonderful to move the mind out of its ruts and its old habit patterns. Wonderful. Storms force us to confront our mortality and our vulnerability as fragile beings who are at the mercy of forces far greater than ourselves and out of control. We do not like to admit that even with all our technological advances, we're no match for a powerful thunderstorm. How can our devices fail us so badly, we ask, when we thought we knew it all? Storms stir up fears like few other events do. The fear of death, the fear of loss, the fear of poverty, the fear of disease, and much more. This can lead to post-traumatic stress disorder. However, it may also serve a good purpose. That's kind of where I want to steer us today. Most fears are not valid. That is true. Fear is our worst enemy, my friends, and most fears are not valid. They just exist in our tortured imagination. Bringing those fears up allows one to look at them closely and decide which are valid and which are not. Because most things we fear never come to pass. So holding on to fears when we ought to let them go causes much stress and indeed disease and even death. So the invitation is to just let your fears go, my friends, and focus on doing what is in front of you right now to the best of your ability, period. Whole philosophies have been built on that statement. Whole generations have built their legacies on this statement, to focus on what we're doing in front of us right now to the best of our ability, and to forget about yesterday and to stop worrying about tomorrow. Storms then do us this service, you see, by bringing up our fears. They do us that service. A good storm can also help us examine human arrogance. What arrogance, you might ask? Well, just turn on the TV. Grab a newspaper. The arrogance of believing we understand why we're here and what life is all about. We often believe we know what our life is about, and furthermore, we believe we have a right to know. Yet how often does life turn out oh so differently? Grow up, get married, find a good job or career, and enjoy friends and family, they say. That is what life is all about. Now storms can change all that in a second, in a moment. Gone may be the friends, family, job, and the diversions we call entertainment. Storms tend to upset all the planning that most people do and throw them back into the present moment, you see. Entertainment. I'll never forget a chat that I had with a young lady in Houston many years ago, when the internet first came out. She became addicted to the internet, talking about entertainment. Many people think the internet is entertainment. And yes, it can be a very useful tool, and it can be entertaining, but it can be overdone, as this young lady was telling me. Beautiful young lady, educated, bright, and yet she became so engrossed on the internet that she stopped leaving her house. She became an internet addict. It's amazing. Anything we invent, we human beings, we can become addicted to. Imagine being addicted to the internet. And she mentioned how that it was so wonderful to get out the house again, to become reacquainted with Mother Nature again, to walk barefoot and feel the grass on her feet, and to tumble about in the grass, and to smell the flowers and see the sunshine, and talk with real people face to face instead of people on cameras on the internet and emails and chat rooms and blah blah blah, and amazing. So storms tend to do that. They tend to upset all the planning that most of us do, and they throw us back into the present moment. Often with a big storm, all one can do is experience what is happening right now and respond in the moment. Storms throw the mind into a tizzy. That ego, all egos are control freaks. You can just imagine what a tizzy they're thrown into in the midst of a hurricane, in the midst of a storm. Even pelting rain throws the ego into a huge tizzy by upsetting the future orientation, anxiety and fear that most people live in. So yes, storms are indeed humbling, to say the least. Now, storms of many kinds can force us to examine our core values, our core beliefs, what we think and what we value at the very center of our being, our core, our kernel, so to speak. What and whom do we care about the most? There was, of course, much heroism in New Orleans, in Louisiana, when the hurricane destroyed that city, but there was also much looting and bitterness as well. See, this is about core values. Some people did not evacuate New Orleans and other towns because they feared the death of their pets. These people, in a pinch, valued their pets perhaps more than their own lives. No judgment, just an observation. Stability, comfort, routine, and staying with the known are also, of course, major core values for most people. Many endure dead-end jobs, unsatisfying relationships, poor health, and much more. Why? All because to make a fundamental change would be so unsettling or so uncomfortable, during the transition period. So comfort and stability are not bad values. No judgment here. However, they easily take over our lives instead of serving as a platform for a life lived with integrity and responsibility. So storms in this sense can be about renewal, physical renewal, emotional renewal, and even spiritual renewal if we allow it. So those who observe, say, a hurricane from a distance experience a range of effects, from fear and awe to disinterest if one believes that the storm is over there, and not my concern. Now, regardless of the response, the fact is that all of humanity is joined in consciousness. There's no doubt about that. We're all joined in consciousness. We're all joined to the collective unconscious. This has been proven in many scientific experiments, particularly kinesiology, as I mentioned earlier, particularly by Dr. David R. Hawkins in his book Power versus Force, which I highly recommend. All of us are one in spirit, whether we like it or not. That's difficult to understand, difficult to accept, because we're so different outwardly. But at an unconscious level, we're all connected. And phenomena such as the 100th monkey syndrome irrefutably prove that. I don't want to go into that right now, but those of you who are interested, go and Google the phrase 100th monkey syndrome. You'll be amazed at what you learn. A disaster of any kind that affects one affects everyone. Television, radio, and the internet only make this more of a physical reality. Now, if this is so, then the best response to another's apparent misfortune is that of compassion, isn't it? Never judgment, as so often happens. They had it coming to them. You know? Oh, dear, dear. Many people blame the poor victim. Another inappropriate response. There's a saying in the US, how does it go? Let me gather my thoughts here. Oh, here comes old Joe. He's always a day too late and a dollar too short. Oh, terrible, terrible. What a pessimistic view of life. Old Joe. Here comes Joe. He's always a dollar too short and a day too late. Poor Joe. So throughout history, societies have always denied their connection with others, you see. It's them and it's me. Them and us. But there is no them and us. And we use this as an excuse to attack other individuals or other nations. In fact, if we attack others, we attack a part of ourselves. It is always self-destructive, although in the short run it may be necessary if the other person threatens us physically. And we in South Africa know all about that, don't we? Yeah. Alright, my friends, we are halfway. I want to next go into the spiritual effects of the storms of life. But we are halfway. I invite you to stay with us here on 1422 medium wave of the new Pan-Hellenic voice. We're going to go to our usual brief commercial break, and we'll be right back with the inner voice. This is Dr. Gabrielides with you. A reminder that I do consult as a natural medicine practitioner, holistic nutrition, what we call the mind, the body, and the spirit. I'll give you my number now. Anyone want to contact me regarding the nutrients that I use in my therapy? And of course I'll give my number again, the details at the end of the program. But my number is 076 189 6690. I repeat, 076 189 6690. Stay tuned. Θα πάμε τώρα, φίλες και φίλοι, κυρίες και κύριοι, στο συνηθισμένο μας διαφημιστικό διάλειμμα και θα είμαστε πάλι μαζί σε λίγα λεπτά εδώ στα 14:22 μεσαία κύματα της Νέας Πανελλήνιας Φωνής. Να συνεχίσουμε την εκπομπή μας Εσωτερική Φωνή. Ο Δόκτωρ Παναγιώτης Γαβριηλίδης μαζί σας μέχρι τις 1 η ώρα. Θα σας δώσω τώρα το τηλέφωνο μου και πάλι στο τέλος της εκπομπής για όποιον ενδιαφέρεται να με συμβουλευτεί για διάφορες θεραπείες με natural medicine. Λοιπόν, μολύβι και χαρτί, γρήγορα μπορείτε να επικοινωνήσετε μαζί μου στο τηλέφωνο 076 189 6690. Επαναλαμβάνω, 076 189 6690. Μείνετε μαζί μας. This is 1422 medium wave, the new Pan-Hellenic voice, with our program The Inner Voice. I am Dr. Gabrielides. I'll be with you till 1 o'clock. Second half, we started at 12, talking today about the storms of life. Alright, my friends, the next little angle I want to get into are the spiritual effects of the storms of life on us. The most interesting area. Spiritually, of course, the storms of life, and I remind you that I'm using the word storms metaphorically to mean the turmoil and stress of our lives. Spiritually, then, the storms are purifiers. In fact, storms are one of the best spiritual vehicles or eye-openers available to mankind at this time. They are better than wars, famines, and other nasty events, in that most people survive while their possessions do not. This helps teach the value of life and the relatively low value of material things. Storms also teach us to think on our feet, to get out of our ruts, and open our minds and hearts to a new reality of living by faith, since in fact we do not know what tomorrow will bring. So storms are a way to know reality that few experience unless they intentionally place themselves in impossible types of situations. In olden times, students learning spiritual mastery would, for example, spend weeks alone in the desert or weeks living in caves, as some yogis still do in the Himalayas. Today, however, these opportunities are limited. Few places are totally out of touch with the rest of the world. Also, if one is not guided by a true teacher, a solo wilderness experience may be quite hazardous. So today, storms and other disasters serve somewhat similar purposes in subjecting us to our deepest fears, if only for a few hours or days. The rest of us experience a little of it, thanks to news reports. Now, it is a spiritual exercise and a valuable one, although it seems harsh and unfair perhaps. Storms are an opportunity to exercise our mental and spiritual muscles, you may say. But how am I to survive the night in this flood? What am I to do tomorrow without my phone, electricity, without my job, without my friends, and perhaps even without water or food? Good exercises for the spirit. How to best prepare? How does one best prepare? Well, there is, of course, no simple answer to that question, is there? Keeping our lives simple is always good, if possible, so that we're not too easily thrown by unexpected events. Setting up support systems, including reading material, friends, groups, and natural therapies to help us keep our balance amidst whatever chaos may occur, is also, of course, another very good idea. Caring deeply for ourselves and loving ourselves so that we can truly love others and do what is best for them when called upon is, of course, also always a good idea. So, a few will wake up from storms like, say, Katrina, and will become different people. They may look the same, but inside they're changed. And we'll go into that, how they change inside in a minute. Inside they're changed. They see the world differently. They have given up the purely material life. The change may be like a spiritual experience, or perhaps it is more subtle, say a refocusing of their energy. Their lives will take on new directions, with new jobs, or careers, or a new sense of purpose. Perhaps they will design a better home, build a better shelter, or in some way think more about others and less about purely selfish or personal issues. Storms are among the best vehicles to speed humanity along into a new age of awareness, of enlightenment, if I can put it that way. People will again learn how to think, because right now very few people think, never mind know how to think. People will learn how to live, how to survive in the present moment without all the material props, and how to love each other because it is the right thing to do. So, how do storms change us inside? I'd like to give you some points, share with you some points, by sharing with you what is called the Loving Warrior's Creed. The Loving Warrior's Creed. Here are some of the points. Every action I take, every kindness I make, reverberates to uplift every being on the planet until the end of time. Beautiful. Beautiful thing to keep in mind. that don't be discouraged thinking, well, who's watching now? Who's looking now? That's not the point. Who's going to take notice? No, just realize that every action we take, positive action, every kindness we indulge in, it ripples throughout the planet to uplift every being until the end of time. There's much to do to fathom all the mystery, beauty, and love that is our birthright. And truly, when we mature mentally and emotionally, that authentic love that energizes everything in the cosmos waits upon our welcome. We take one day at a time, we stay the course, and we make haste gently. When obstacles arise, we strive to remember our mission, which is to make the world safe for love, for joy and happiness. We follow only paths with heart. The path you're on must have heart. And these paths will be a source of strength for us. Any other path, no matter how alluring, will weaken us if it is not a path with heart, if you're not convicted about it. The great outfitter has given us everything we need to be victorious. We know we will not be given any assignment beyond our training or status. We learn about our real enemies, and our real enemies are guilt, resentment, sadness. Yes, sadness is an enemy. Don't indulge too long in it. Fear, of course, anger, lust, greed, jealousies, and all the rest of the negative gang. Impatience, egoism, you know them all. These must be faced, for how can there be courage without danger, or virtue without temptation? We need only observe them calmly in ourselves. That's all. Don't fight them. You can't win against them. But if you take a step back and you begin observing them calmly in yourself and others, then they lose their power. I promise you. You see, the gang will show up, this negative gang, because love allows all things. But this will not deter us from our course. No. We will stay the course. When we don't know what to say or do, we step into the ring of patience. And what a wonderful, powerful ring there is, the ring of patience. We ask only for truth and clarity of vision, and there we wait to be informed. In our helplessness, help comes. It is not a person, but a phantom acting through ourselves or another that tries to frighten, embarrass, or torment us. Knowing this helps us to have compassion for ourselves and for others. We keep our equipment in good condition. What equipment? The basic equipment are things like a healthy body, a clear mind, a loving heart, an undauntable spirit, unbreakable spirit, indomitable spirit, an unshakable faith in all that is good, in all that is true, in all that is beautiful. The negative gang has no power against that, you see, nothing. We advance when conditions seem favorable. Retreat does not mean defeat. And we never hesitate to call for help if need be. We're not martyrs. We keep our weapons in warrior readiness. What would these weapons be? They would include the bow of benevolence, the arrows of piercing positivity, the penetrating ray of sincerity, the headdress of humility, the war paint of impeccability, and the shields of good deed and cheerful object. The closer we are to winning the battle of the moment, the harder our foe will try to defeat us. At those times, we relax, we breathe deeply, and we endure. We cling not to self-images and self-definitions, for the battle lines are ever changing. The warrior tolerates some ambiguity and confusion in his or her life, knowing this is the spirit feeling its way forward. Through all travails, through all troubles, through all storms, the warrior does not neglect to love the self, because love for others begins with the self. In the end, the good guys and the good girls always win. Always. So we don't despair if we lose a battle or 10. And it is so tempting to despair. It is so tempting to give up. You think to yourself, oh, wow, but I have been through this so many times. Why do I have to go through it again? See, that's not the question the impeccable warrior would ask. No. That's beginning to feel sorry for yourself, beginning to pity yourself. No, 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 no. Never ask that. Never ask, why me? Why this? Why now? No, just do it. Just do it. It's a wonderful book I read once many years ago. That was its title, Just Do It. Written by an unknown author. Totally unknown. A humorous anecdote about the author is, because his book was unknown and he wanted to publicize it, he dressed up as the cover of his book. And he went from mall to mall in the United States wearing an outfit that looked like the cover of his book. And you can imagine, of course, what huge interest he generated, and eventually he sold millions of copies of his book. But that's being proactive, you see. You could say, but I've written a great book. The title was Just Do It. But no one knows about me. I'm an unknown author. I have Oprah won't have me on her show, and neither will A or B or C, all the other talk show hosts. Who's going to know about my book? He could have just thrown up his hands and said, well, I'm lucky that it was published even. No, he went out. He did not rely on the publishers to publish his book. Proactive. He made an outfit that looked like the cover of his book. He wore it and he went from mall to mall in the United States. Wonderful. For emergencies, we swallow the pill of controlled folly. The pill of controlled folly. It will bring relief, for we will know it is all screenplay. The world is harmless. The real me is eternal, and the real you, all powerful, all wonderful, and cannot be touched at all. Our secret weapon, we take time each day to retreat to our private place of peace and power, the secret sanctuary within us. And there we commune with the Great Spirit, with the God Force. We reaffirm our bond and allow the Great Spirit's all-powerful vibrations to renew our strength from moment to moment, from day to day. Above all, we remember who we are. Nothing less than a manifestation or the emissary of the God Force. Nothing less than a manifestation or the emissary of the Great Spirit, the link between Creator and created, the Spirit dancing in the flesh, the extension of love in human form. Not the body we animate, but the force of animation itself. Alright, my friends, I hope you enjoyed that, the storms of life. We have, of course, come to the end of the road for today. I invite you to tune in again next Monday at high noon, 12 o'clock, right here on 1422 medium wave of the new Pan-Hellenic voice. I do consult as a natural medicine practitioner. Reminder, those of you who do wish to consult me or ask me any questions about my natural nutrients, pen and paper, quick. My telephone number is 076 189 6690. I repeat, 076 189 6690. CDs of this program and past programs are available from me. Contact me if you're interested. Also, if you have a group that you would like me to give a talk to, contact me. I'll be happy to oblige, and I'll do those talks for free. Alright, my friends, till next time, this is Dr. Gabrielides. Take care, keep smiling. I bid thee adieu. Λοιπόν, φίλες και φίλοι, κυρίες και κύριοι, φτάσαμε στο τέλος της εκπομπής μας για σήμερα. Θα είμαι πάλι μαζί σας την επόμενη Δευτέρα από τις 12 το μεσημέρι μέχρι τις 1 το απόγευμα, εδώ στα 1422 μεσαία κύματα της Νέας Πανελλήνιας Φωνής. Όσοι από εσάς θέλετε να με συμβουλευτείτε για διάφορες θεραπείες με natural medicine, μπορείτε να επικοινωνήσετε μαζί μου στο τηλέφωνο 076 189 6690. Επαναλαμβάνω, 076 189 6690. Επίσης μπορώ να σας προμηθεύσω CDs αυτού του προγράμματος και όλων των προηγουμένων προγραμματών μου. Όπως επίσης δίνω διαλέξεις στην αγγλική για Holistic Health. Εάν έχετε ένα group 6 άτομα και άνω που ενδιαφέρεται για μια τέτοια διάλεξη, μην διστάσετε να επικοινωνήσετε μαζί μου. Οι διαλέξεις μου είναι εντελώς δωρεάν. Αυτά λοιπόν, αγαπητοί μου ακροατές, από μένα, τον Δόκτωρα Παναγιώτη Γαβριλίδη. Καλό σας απόγευμα, καλή σας μέρα και μην ξεχάσετε να με ακούσετε αύριο το βράδυ από τις 7 μέχρι τις 8 που μιλάμε για Holistic Health. Don't forget, my friends, my program tomorrow night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on 1422 medium wave, where we talk about holistic health. Take care.